Hey you, it's me. And people have been talking a lot about this. This is something I'd heard about, but I didn't really know the story. So it turns out that this guy is a special needs person who was put into a public school even though they knew that he had a lot of aggression issues. And then when it turns out that he beats the hell out of a teacher, now he possibly will go to prison for 30 plus years. And the thing is there are nuances to the story. Because if you think, okay, this guy, he's like 6'6", 17. He's a big dude. But not only is he autistic, but the fact that he has just a list of issues, including a lot of aggression and anger issues. And it was stated specifically in his records that if you do something like give him a Nintendo Wii to play with, you need a crisis group to get it away from him. I mean, this kid has got a lot of major issues. Not his fault, by the way. This was how he was born. He has a lot of psychological issues, and one of them was aggression. And the reason why he wasn't put in a public school until now was for this exact reason. Even the mother stated, why is he going to a public school? Because apparently he was in some kind of a special home for special needs children. And they said, oh, all of our students go to public school. Or all of our people, I don't know what you call it, residents, I guess. All of our residents go to public school. But there was so much information about his aggression, and yet they still did it. And the reason why that information was put into his records was for the exact reason of preventing what unfortunately happened. He brutally beat up a teacher. But this never should have happened because he never should have been in public school. And you can't blame this youth, this special needs child. You can't blame him for what he did, because they already knew that he did that on a regular basis. That's why they had a crisis team to help with the situation, to keep him calm and to keep him relaxed and not get so aggressive that he would beat the hell out of somebody. It's not this kid's fault. Nor is it the fault of the teacher, who unfortunately was brutally beaten up. That's a horrible thing. It's not her fault either. Obviously, she is the victim. She didn't do anything wrong. But the school and the place where he was living did. They are responsible because they knew he had these issues, and yet they put everybody, including this teacher, into a bad situation that unfortunately turned out the way that it did. But for people to be so callous to say, oh, well, doesn't matter what his mental problems are, he should just go to prison, that's it. He brutally beat up a woman. Yeah, except that that's like saying, oh, a 3-year-old slapped somebody around, so let's put him in jail. You don't understand. We don't understand. Even I don't understand, because I don't have the paperwork. But he isn't necessarily consciously aware of what he did until the aftermath, realizing he did something wrong. He still may not understand what happened. So to put him in prison for something that he couldn't control, which isn't his fault, It's the school and the home that he was in. It's their fault for not taking on the responsibility of him and his needs. And as a result, this poor teacher was brutally victimized. It's terrible. The whole thing is terrible. But I don't believe it's up to her to make the decision of whether he goes to prison or not. Where he should go is back into a better home, a better living situation, where he's not going to public school and where they are there and prepared to take care of his needs. The school didn't do that. And this is what happened. He needs to go somewhere where they can take care of him and give him some kind of life. I don't know how severe his issues are. I did hear that while in prison, which he is in right now, he's getting into a ton of fights. Yeah, because that's one of his issues. He has aggression and anger issues. It's been documented. They're just making it worse. You know, I absolutely do not take away from the victim, the teacher, who was brutally beaten. That's horrible. And she should go sue that school and that home and get enough money for her to live and her family to live comfortably for the rest of their lives. That's justice. But to continue to mistreat this child, who I know he's 6'6", but he is 17. He's a big boy. But to victimize him because of something he has no control over, you can't blame that kid for that. He reacted the way he has always reacted. Only this time, there was no crisis team to help because they didn't give him the help that he needed. This is so frustrating and so hard for me to understand why people don't understand this. It doesn't matter his age. If his brain functions differently and doesn't understand that brutally beating somebody could hurt them or even kill them, how can you blame him for that? Put him in an institution, in a hospital where they can take care of him properly, fine. But to just throw him into prison? He wasn't in control of his faculties. He is very rarely in control of his faculties. He can't help himself because that's the way he is. And instead of condemning him for what he did, which again was horrible, but it was horrible for him too. He didn't belong there. And they should have known that. And they should have made sure to take care of his needs so that this would not occur. It's disgusting. This is the problem with educational systems to begin with, that don't take the time to take care of each student. I know it's hard. I know it's a lot of paperwork and it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of hiring the right people for maybe more money. I know it's a difficult task, but this is what it's supposed to be. This is what they were supposed to be doing, and they didn't do it. And this horrible, horrible event occurred, and it didn't have to. You can't blame the teacher, of course, but you can't blame the student either. It's the system that fucked up and allowed this to occur. Anyway, that's all I got to say.